Do you have a brilliant startup idea but are stuck in the launching phase? Are you feeling overwhelmed by funding, marketing, or just where to start? Don't let your startup idea stay grounded. Visit our website at eapla.com to schedule a Blue Couch meeting and launch your startup journey today.
Okay, welcome back to On the Cusp. I've got my co-host Matt Snyder back with me for another episode. And Matt, who's our guest today?
We have Jennifer Jones from Lagniappe Sourcing Consulting. Yeah. And so sourcing, it's not staffing exactly. Tell me exactly what you do.
So I'm the go-to person that companies will contact if they can't fill a role. Essentially, a headhunter. So what we do is, in the TA community, is called sourcing. And instead of just posting and praying jobs, we go out to various different job boards. We utilize, different kind of open source intelligence techniques to find candidates. I normally get the roles where there's maybe, 40 people in the entire nation that can fill them. And, we have to do a deep dive search on the internet or through our networks to find candidates.
Oh, that's really cool. So you always hear about headhunters. I've heard about this my whole life and never met one. I'm like, where are these people? Like, who are these? So cool.
But it's more than just you. You've got people all over the country that work for Lagniappe, right?
Right, yes.
And you're doing all this, your headquarters in Shreveport.
Yes, my headquarters is here.
And so you're recruiting for lots of different agencies and organization nationwide. Because I know, you've helped me with some of the job fairs and some of the Department of Defense portfolio companies that we have in EAP. So I want everybody to understand, you're much bigger than that. And you started this business in Shreveport. Now you're servicing all over the country.
Right.
So how do you get into that? That feels like a very unique thing to just open a business doing on a random Tuesday.
So I was sourced. Whenever CSRA came to Shreveport, Becky Buchanan reached out to me. She called me out of the blue on my cell phone. I'd never talked to her, never spoken, and asked me if I'd be interested in a sourcing manager position at CSRA. And I was really confused because I didn't know what sourcing was. So she sat me down and explained it to me and sent me some videos. And I was like, oh, okay, headhunting. And then she said headhunting, but it's much deeper, more involved than say going on LinkedIn and looking for people. And so she took me under her wing and quickly moved me into supporting contracts with National Intelligence and Department of Defense. And really, I spent just a good solid year of training with her and her team. And after that, my career just took off. A couple of years ago, when the return to office mandates happened, I unfortunately lost my position. I was working full time, and I was going, you know what? There's so much opportunity out of Shreveport. I had gone to Barksdale and talked to the troops that were getting out of the Air Force, and so many of them were leaving the area. And I really wanted to explain to them there's so much more opportunities. There's so many roles that you can do still staying in town. And in addition to the troops, there's also kids getting out of college. Most all of my friends that I graduated with were leaving the area. Yeah. And it's a shame because I love the Shreveport community. I love the area. It's a big, small town. Everybody knows each other. And, the community here is just unparalleled to anywhere that I've been across the nation. If there's something wrong with my children, I've got a dozen people that I can call that will be there.
Yep. That's when I've always said that's one of the neat things about our community is if your children go out and do something, okay, they're not going to get away with it long. Right. Somebody's mom or dad is going to say, hey, I saw your son downtown. He was doing so-and-so. I said, thank you. I got it. Okay.
I have a pretty funny story from when I was a kid. So my uncle was on the sheriff's department. And as you know, my father, he was on the police department. So I couldn't get away with anything. So me and my friends in high school decided it was only 8 of us piled into a little Ford Ranger. We were all sitting in the back. We decided, we told our parents we were going to go to the corn maze. We did not go to the corn maze. We went to the abandoned LRB school.
Oh, God.
And of course, we got busted for trespassing. And we hit the ground and we're trying to act cool. We were not. No. So my uncle gets a call over the radio that there's some kids and my name is mentioned. And he comes peeling through and he goes, Jennifer Lee Lupton. That's my maiden name. He pulls up in his sheriff's car because he was patrolling that particular area.
Figure the odds.
He pulls up, makes me sit in his car.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And, so, and he just looked at me and he goes, you can't get away with anything in Shreveport. It's like, yes, sir.
Well, that's good. I love that. That is a great story.
So how hard is it from your role to sell somebody that you've headhunted on moving to Shreveport?
On moving to Shreveport, it's not as hard of a sell as you think.
Okay, good. Tell us about this.
Because most of my clients are candidates. They live in, DC, or they live in Austin, or even California, and
Austin or California.
No, that's got to be easy to recruit from here.
How do you recruit somebody from Austin to come to Shreveport?
The cost of living.
Okay.
That's the big sell, and the food. I mean, let's be honest. Have you ever eaten anywhere other than Louisiana where the food was this good? Because I haven't.
No, I haven't either.
Okay, so when you're talking to, you get them down here, you feed them a little bit, you take them out, and it works.
Yeah, it works. You explain to them, hey, I see, you live in a little bungalow where you're at, your little 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. Well, I'm going to tell you, you come here and you're gonna live in a mansion.
Right.
What you can afford here.
So you're sending
amazing.
The Zillow, like, hey, for that $500,000 little house, my sister lives in New Orleans, 1 block off Constance.
Oh, okay.
And it's or 1 block off Magazine Street on Constance. And it's a tiny old shotgun house, but probably costs $600,000-$700,000.
Right.
And you come here, and the house you could have, that is an appealing.
Definitely, I've seen
Absolutely.
it. We saw it with the bottling company guys.
Right.
Yeah, he left California, came here.
And he lives in a great part of town.
And he lives in a great part of town.
Yeah.
Doesn't he live over off of Ellerby?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, he lives right by Rhino Coffee, like by
Yeah.
Norton.
Yeah. One of them does.
that's
Yeah.
the best.
He lives right over there.
Yeah, so,
That's a good area.
That's a good area. I mean, so I'm thinking
And he bought more house than he's ever had before.
Oh, I
Right.
think he, like you said, he feels like he's living in a mansion.
Right. I'm big in the music community here, and one of the instrumentalists that I sit next to, and he came from California. He was a professor over in California, and according to Louisiana standards, he had a pretty good salary, but he says he was broke in California, and he came here and he says, I just feel loaded. Like,
Yep.
Yeah,
I have so much money, and he's retired now, and it's just so interesting.
I've noticed that, like, traveling, like when you talk to Shreveport people about their travels, they go to places that are very high end, I think, from the country. And I think that's because our cost of living is to a degree where you can make enough money to go travel pretty extensively and go to places that if you're living in Austin and you're paying,
You don't have that expendable income.
You don't have that expendable money.
You do not.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, our location, we are so close to Dallas.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize just how close Shreveport is to Dallas. Like, we do day trips to Dallas. And I've even worked for companies in the Dallas area where I just commuted in every couple of weeks. And then, we're not very far from the mountains. That's 2 hours, and you have beautiful scenery. My husband and I like to vacation in Hot Springs and do a couple of trips out there because it's just absolutely gorgeous and not very far. And the beach. I mean, we're not very far from the beaches.
We just had Mark Crawford on too, and like the improvement in the airport and the pricing of the airport really makes Shreveport a very easy place to travel from. You can really be in anywhere in the country in 6 hours, basically. I mean, like,
pretty much.
it's an easy place to fly from.
I'm really excited that you are able to recruit people, at least get them to consider Shreveport when you're out recruiting for firms.
Especially from those
things.
places.
Yeah,
I thought
like
you
that.
were going to say, I thought she was about to go the route we've talked about. Something like, well, these guys are like in Minot, or these people are like in, they're living in these small towns, and Shreveport can be an upgrade.
Right.
But being able to bring somebody from Austin, which is probably arguably the hottest city in America right now, that's surprising to me.
Oh yeah, well, and it's, there's so many positive things about this area, and I mean, at least for me, once people get here and they start, going to the restaurants and seeing, we have some beautiful neighborhoods around
we
here.
We really do.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous
And
neighborhoods.
some great schools. All right. A lot of
We
people
do.
don't realize how good. And we just had the superintendent of Caddo Parish Schools on. He did an episode, and he talked about the schools and how really good they are. And we don't do a good job of publicizing how great Shreveport-Bossier really is. And that's because it's so easy to tell a negative story.
Right.
And the negative story, because of the algorithms and the fact that everybody clicks on them, they automatically, work their way to the top of everybody's search. And that is
Absolutely.
not the truth.
So Jennifer, I want to ask you something. Dave and I go down this a lot, talking about that we need more jobs in Shreveport to grow, or we need more culture to grow.
Right.
That's our kind of thing we talk about. When you're talking to these people about moving here, you have a job, obviously, that you're trying to fill. How important are the cultural things, the housing, the school, the entertainment, the restaurants? Like, how much does that matter in their decision?
The schools definitely matter.
Okay.
And a lot of the candidates are surprised to learn that we have some of the top schools in the nation, in the state of Louisiana and in the nation here, local.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, we have amazing private schools here.
Yep.
We have some incredible private schools. That's the route they want to take, and the cost of private school here is so much lower than in Maryland. I mean, I have a
Okay.
friend of mine that pays for private school, and I kid you not, just for one kid, she spends $25,000 a year
Yeah. Oh
my
in
gosh.
Maryland.
I have an Army buddy of mine that lives in Washington, D.C., and he pays to have his daughter go to a private school in the city.
Oh.
And he pays more per year than I pay for 2 to go to college in Louisiana.
Correct.
Oh my
And I'm
God.
like, dude, you're not going to be able to afford college.
Well,
okay?
and I'm glad you mentioned college, because a lot of people don't know that if you have children that are Louisiana residents, that they qualify for the top scholarship if they do the correct curriculum, right?
Yep.
And that's been a big selling point. I had a client that moved here specifically so that their kid could go to LSU.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty, so that they could qualify for the top scholarship once they found out about it.
What an incredible recruiting tool. I'll bet the state of Louisiana Department of Education doesn't even know you're selling tops for them.
I know.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a huge selling point. I personally, went to college and was able to afford, with very little debt through the top scholarship program. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know, I was so oblivious, I was just going through the motions, but my high school counselors, thank goodness for them, made sure I was enrolled in the correct classes. And I went, oh, when I got the letter in, I went, oh, I didn't even know.
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it's a huge thing. We have one going to college right now, and college is expensive.
It is expensive. And
well,
that's,
I got 2 in at the same time, and I'm going to tell you, when I look at those bills, there better be a tops line on there, okay?
Right.
And that's the way we went down that path, because they wanted to go out of state. And I went, let's
Nope.
talk about that. Okay?
No, and we have, one incredible universities here, some of the top-rated universities in the nation. I mean, we've got Louisiana Tech, which has a phenomenal program. And I mean, I'm a graduate myself. Well, I'm a graduate. I'm a hybrid. I have a degree from both LSU and Louisiana Tech. So, I mean, and
You
they're,
just covered them all.
yeah. And I'm going to tell you, I've been to other universities and the campuses just are not on par with how beautiful our campuses are at LSU and Louisiana Tech. It's just absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, I don't think we do a great job of telling the college opportunities, in Louisiana to keep our students here.
Okay, so we have the school. So you're on a call with somebody you're trying to recruit here. Obviously, they want to know about the job, schools. What's
Cost
next?
of living.
What else do they ask about? What else are you selling on?
Do you know about the digital nomad tax credit?
No.
So, one of the not great things whenever I'm talking to candidates is the state tax. But there's tax credits for all different kinds of things, and one of them is the digital nomad tax credit, where they can have a reduction in their yearly taxes if they move to Louisiana and they have a full-time job, remote job.
Oh, cool.
Which I've seen, Oklahoma has a pretty good program. There's other states, there's other cities that promote this, but I personally didn't find out about the digital nomad thing until I just happened across it a couple of months ago. And I was like, dang, so I could have moved to Arkansas for a year and then come back.
Yeah. I mean, here you could move to Wascom.
Yeah.
Well, here's the good thing. Here's the good thing.
Greenwood.
We got an election coming up. There's an amendment on the ballot that we may not have state income tax in Louisiana here
I
pretty
hope that
quick.
goes through.
If that happens, you got another recruiting tool. And I like it. I like the idea because I see that as an impact to recruiting companies. We run the Shreveport Next activity, and that's one of the things that comes up every time. What is the tax? What is the inventory tax?
Right.
What is this? Okay.
Yeah.
People want to know.
They do.
Because those are the decision factors that they want to consider when they're making those decisions on am I coming or am I not?
Right, and I've had candidates that did exactly that because they didn't want to pay the state tax. They moved to, right across the line to Wascom or
Yep,
Longview. Marshall's a great area too, and that's just a hop skip from Shreveport.
It is. You'd be surprised how many people live in East Texas.
You can
that drive.
probably get from East Texas to work in Shreveport faster than you could get in Dallas to work every morning 5-10 miles from your house.
Oh, guaranteed. That, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You could be that far and get here in 30 minutes. In Dallas, it's going to take you 30 minutes to get, what,
30 minutes?
45 hours?
I don't know if you can get there anywhere in Dallas in 30 minutes between the time of 7 a.m. and 9:30.
It took me 45 minutes during 5 o'clock traffic to go 4.2 miles.
I know, that's the worst.
The DFW. I wasn't even in downtown. I was in the suburb area, and it was just driving me crazy. I'm just going, I want to get home.
I tell people all the time.
Yeah.
Shreveport-Bossier does not have a traffic problem.
No.
We had Kathleen's niece graduated from tech and moved outside, right on the outskirts of Dallas. And it was going to be this big city living, this is going to be so much fun. And I'm looking at it, and in about 3 months realized she has no money to live in Dallas. It takes a lot of money to live in Dallas.
Income is gone.
And how far everything really is to do anything. How long it takes you to get to anything.
Well, Jennifer, I want to touch on a topic here. We were talking a little bit about it before we got started. Doge is going on right now. Mm-hmm. There's got to be a lot of talent cleared talent on the market right now. Mm-hmm. Is that impacting your business, or how do you see that working?
Well, there's some pros and cons. So I know there's some restrictions whenever you're coming off of, certain government clients. So, there's a pause that candidates have to take. So that it's not so much that there's an abundance of cleared talent that we can pick from, but There will be.
Okay. Once their cooling off period is done.
Once the cooling off, and there's so much unknowns right now, so DOGE is also impacting contracting too.
Right.
They've been, as you know, they've they've been cutting numerous contracts throughout the nation, and pretty much every agency, to my knowledge, has been impacted
So
at
are you
some
seeing
way.
a lot of people reaching out to organizations like yours to kind of sort of, hey, I might be looking, what can
Yeah.
you do for me?
Just trying to figure out what to do next,
Okay.
because there's so many unknowns for sure, and and it's also everybody's just kind of at a standstill waiting to find out what the next move is. I've seen a lot of our cleared talent going and looking even into commercial markets right now because there's so much up in the air, and a lot of them, they'll come to me and they're overwhelmed with the job search market. If you've looked for a job recently, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It's not the way it used to be where you just go on.
Is there more, when you say crazy, is there more applicants in the field than jobs, or more like what is the situation? From a high end, I'm talking, I know you see like the unemployment numbers and all that, but from a talented pool like you work with, what does that situation look
There's
like?
definitely a higher number in the white collar community than I've seen in my entire career.
That are qualified looking for work?
Qualified and looking for work, and there's got to be some kind of change, because I'm seeing people who have advanced degrees that are having difficulty finding positions right now and navigating, because there's a lot of what I call pipeline positions that are posted, which are essentially, hey, we might have an opportunity in 6 months. And so people are getting jaded because it's happening so often. And then even, I've talked to TA professionals who are being overwhelmed with applicants and and they're qualifying talent acquisition.
Okay.
That are getting overwhelmed with really good qualified applicants. And it's just, it's a little wild right now.
I'm sure. Well, hey, Jennifer, thanks for coming. This has been very informative. And some of the things you said were super positive for us in Shreveport-Bossier. I appreciate it.
Well, I love the area, and anything that I can do to help out. I mean, I think that we have some phenomenal opportunities here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's awesome. Thanks, Jennifer.
Enjoy the podcast? We would love your feedback about today's show and who you think should be our next guest. Send us an email at info@eapla.com. Also, be sure to share the show and leave a comment on our social media post.